So I recently quoted George Orwell's 1984, where he says nothing was your own except a few cubic centimeters inside your skull. Well, now that's even apparently in doubt, because now they're talking about whether or not the right to cognitive liberty should be preserved. You will notice this didn't used to be a question. This used to be a given. In the last few years, Davos had a whole series on it, and now this is coming up more and more. Do we have the right to the few cubic centimeters inside our skull? Do we have the right to cognitive liberty? Because the technology they're coming out with puts that in danger, and they've not done anything to put safeguards into place for that. Even though it's been warned about since the 60s when it first came out to the public that mind control type technologies were on the way. And this was going to be a huge social, moral, and ethical problem that needed to be dealt with on a humanity-wide basis. And they just kind of shoved that under the rug because it came out at the same time MKUltra was going on. And they didn't really want to talk about that. And in the 70s, when all of the MKUltra revelations came out, what the public got was a big joke, which shouldn't be a surprise to most of you who watch this channel. When do we ever get told the truth about what's really going on? But this is where that stuff went. This is the kind of stuff they were actually working on, and it's about to become part of everyone's daily life. It says the idea of the human mind as the domain of absolute protection from external intrusion has persisted for centuries. Today, however, this presumption might no longer hold. Sophisticated neuroimaging machines and brain-to-computer interfaces that can detect the electrical activity of neurons enable us to decode and even alter the nervous system signals that accompany mental processes. This is Scientific American, by the way. This isn't some joke on CNN. And they're telling you right now they have technologies that can not only detect your neurons' electrical activity, they can decode that and alter those signals. They can screw with your brain. This is what they're saying. And they say that whereas these advances have a great potential for research and medicine, they pose a fundamental ethical, legal, and social challenge, determining whether or under what conditions it is legitimate to gain access to or interfere with another person's neural activity. That's the level we're at. And they go down to talk about the landmark case in 2008 in India where the woman was convicted for murder using an MRI, a functional MRI. They claimed she had experiential knowledge based on her brain activity. She didn't say anything, but based on the scan of her brain, they said she was guilty, and they put her in jail for life. And they're saying that commercial companies are marketing the use of functional MRIs and electroencephalography and EEG-based technology to ascertain truth or falsehood. And the military is testing monitoring techniques to use brain stimulation to increase a soldier's alertness or attention. But obviously, what they're not saying here is if they can use brain stimulation to do that, they can use it for other things too. And they're saying that the brain reading technology is just another unavoidable trend, but given the sanctity of our mental privacy, we might not be so willing to accept this intrusion. Gee, you think? People could, in fact, look at this technology as something that requires the reconceptualization of basic human rights and the creation of neuro-specific rights. So that's where we're at. They're talking about this. And you'll recall that Bilderberg a couple years ago asked if privacy exists. They were talking about on all levels. Lawyers are already talking about your rights to cognitive liberty. Again, shouldn't this be a given? Why are we talking about this like it's something that is in question? It says that it would entitle people to make free and competent decisions regarding the use of technology that can affect their thoughts. In other words, they have technology that can affect your thoughts. And a right to mental privacy would protect individuals against unconsented to intrusion by third parties into their brain data. Jeez. If you think about how the Fourth Amendment's already working these days, it's just breaches of privacy at the neural level. I mean, this is the way they're talking now. Unauthorized collection of your brain data. And then they go on to talk about how Facebook and Samsung and Netflix are making interfaces that translate your thoughts directly from your brain to the computer. which, if you'll recall, because I've shown the clip so many times because it's just so on point.
You can actually decode language. Now, of course, the obvious application of that is decoding internal speech. And once you decode internal speech, then you essentially have the sort of worst possible brain decoding device, or best possible, depending on your view. Personally, I think it's just a matter of time before there will be a portable brain decoding technology that decodes language as fast as you can type with your thumbs on your cell phone.
Wow.
And everyone will wear them because people have shown that they're quite willing to give up privacy for convenience.
People will be willing to accept because they have already shown that they will give up their basic right to privacy, even the information in their brain, for convenience when it comes to this technology that they've become completely addicted to. And they go on to even mention the phrase brainjacking. So that would be like hijacking a car, except instead it's your brain. And they go on to say, finally, a right to psychological continuity might preserve people's mental life from external alteration by third parties. That is a really nice way of saying someone else messes with your mind, changes your mind, goes in beyond your consciousness and messes with your head, changes your thoughts and feelings. I mean, the Air Force, I did a story about this a while back, is paying for studies where they use magnets and change people's belief in God. I mean, back during MK Ultra, they kept all this stuff a secret. Today, they're just openly doing the Brain Initiative, which, just like MK Ultra, features a lot of your favorites, such as the Rockefeller Foundation and DARPA. But today, when they talk about it, they openly say exactly what they're doing. They plan on trying to hack the soul. They put that on the cover of MIT magazines, hacking your soul. And they just openly say, we're going to go inside there and mess with your memories. And there are researchers coming out now talking about erasing bad memories. It's harmful manipulations of neuroactivity through the misuse of technology would pretty much sum up, in my opinion, everything that I know about MK Ultra and what they were really trying to do there. So now they're just openly asking this question. And I guess George Orwell had it wrong, because in the smart Internet of Things grid future that they're building, you don't even apparently have a right to the few cubic centimeters inside your skull. We're supposed to have unalienable rights. I don't need a piece of paper with those rights written down on it. They're supposed to be unalienable, God-given. But once they put them down on the piece of paper, they sure do like to screw with them, don't they? We don't even have this. We don't even have cognitive liberty written down somewhere, because it was supposed to be a given. After all the things I've researched in the last 5 years, I can tell you that this is one of the biggest threats that we as individuals face. They're going to keep ratcheting up this technology. And if you think there isn't going to be backdoors built into that, the way there are backdoors built into every Windows operating system that's ever been created, well, I don't know what to tell you. People don't understand. This is coming. This is the biggest threat we face, and people don't get it. When I talk about it, people think I'm crazy. Well, that's what happens after you read the conference notes of these people who are working on this project for decades. And you look at the declassified documents and you spend hours of your life pulling books out of storage at libraries so you can read what these people were talking about back in 1942. And I'm just telling you, they've been planning this for a really long... This system that is coming, this beast system that is coming, this smart grid, smart derisive air quotes, grid Internet of Things system that just merges you with technology that's coming, there's a reason they're trying to dehumanize everybody to get you onto that. I mean, what's left? If they're going to start screwing with your neural activity without your conscious consent, what's left? This is the most depressing video I've ever recorded.